Hey guys, today's video is about Idoing, and this head unit has an awesome 8-core processor, a massive 8 GB of RAM, a massive 13.3-inch QLED display. It's going to be amazing. Well, you're probably wondering who Idoing is. Well, they're actually a very established brand of Android-based head units. If you have a look at the Idoing website, you're going to find that they do head units which are designed for specific vehicles. And by that I mean they come with specific harnesses which are plug and play, and they might come with a plastic dash trim so it makes the head unit look like it's meant to be part of the car, which can incorporate the vents and the buttons, etc. Now, this particular Idoing unit is a universal unit, and by that it means it can pretty much go into any vehicle which has the space, which I'll show you now. They do supply the wiring harness for any particular vehicle that you have. Now, my plan is to install this in the Saab 9.5 new generation that I have, and they have supplied me with the wiring harnesses that I need to make that a plug and play operation, which I'm going to show you later. Now remember, this is not a paid endorsement. I don't get paid for any of these reviews. This is simply my opinion and experience of using this particular head unit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what's in the box, and then I'm going to show you what this head unit is capable of. And then for anyone who has a Saab 9.5 NG who wants to see how to install it, I'll make another video which shows you how to do that. So here it is. Look at this absolute beast of a head unit. I think this is probably the biggest head unit that I've ever tested. Let me just compare it to the Tesla one that I have up here. Yeah, look, I mean, it's bigger than the Tesla display that I have for the Mustang up there. That is just how huge this thing is. So this can be mounted either horizontally like this or vertically, depending on what you want. There is a switch just behind the screen which allows you to choose the orientation of the screen. It is quite a heavy thing, actually. You can feel the quality of it. The back of it is made completely of metal, and it has this mounting block here on the back and the ribbon cable which actually goes to the magic box, which I'll show you in a minute. But the point of this is that it can be mounted in your car wherever you want. It isn't going to be limited to where the radio is meant to be. You can mount it anywhere. It comes with these brackets. There's two sizes of brackets here. There's a big one and a small one, and they have mounting points behind them. So you literally screw this to your dashboard and then you mount it on the back here like this. You have a microphone up here and a reset button, and it looks like you have a capacitive home button here as well. And then on the side here you have a couple of buttons, physical buttons, which I assume are for the volume. Now, aside from the screen, we have this magic box. The magic box is the actual head unit itself, separate from the screen. Now, this is a standard single DIN unit, but you could consider it DIN 0. When you talk about DIN 0, they are head units which aren't meant for any specific size of DIN in a car. Now, this particular head unit doesn't attach to this DIN box, so you can actually just hide this in the dashboard, and that is exactly what I'm going to be doing. So on the front of this magic box you have what looks like a memory card input here. You've got the ribbon cable for the screen, and then there's a switch next to it. I have no idea what that switch does. I'm going to have to look into that. The top shows us that it's the 8 GB of RAM version with 128 GB of ROM and 4G mobile network connectivity, which is cool. Underneath you have the pinouts for all of the different connectors, exactly what all the pins do in the event that we lose one of the cables and we need to make them up again, which is quite nice. So on the back here we have a GPS antenna connection and two 4G antenna connections there. We've got two loom entry points on the back here, and then you've got a variety of other connections which I will go into in a bit, and then of course the radio antenna connection there. So Idoing gives you the loom that you need for your specific car, which is awesome. So I've got the Saab 9.5 loom. So this is going to plug directly into the connectors behind the dashboard and plug into my Saab, and it also has the canvas decoder as well, which means that it's going to connect to the car's features. It also comes with a speaker because the Saab's original radio controls all the warning sounds of the car, so this little speaker is going to retain all those sounds for you. Now it also comes with this, which is a loom to connect to the factory reverse camera of the Saab 9.5 if you have one. And this will mean that you can use your factory reverse camera with your new aftermarket head unit, which is pretty cool. So also in the Idoing box of tricks, they give you some plastic removal tools to take your dashboard apart, a USB port, an external microphone, which is really cool, so you don't need to buy one separately, a loom which has video and audio auxiliary input, a separate subwoofer pre-out, and then you've got front and rear, left and right for your pre-outs as well. You have a microphone input and a Wi-Fi antenna on this loom. You have a reverse camera input here. Now this is really cool. This is a Toslink, or a SPDIF digital optical output, which means you get pure digital output via optical cable from this head unit. That makes it extremely, extremely good. We have another 2 USB ports. Now this thing comes with two separate SIM card inputs, so it can take dual SIM cards. I don't really know why one would have 2 SIM cards in a head unit unless you're going in between countries, but that's pretty cool. We have a GPS antenna, and then we have 2 4G antennas, so you can probably place them at different locations in the car to get the best possible signal. Right, let's go and see what it can do. So here it is, installed in my new generation Saab 9.5, and you can see that the 13.3-inch display is quite dominating in the car, although it is pretty cool. So let's switch it on and see what happens. There we go. Okay, so it's gone straight to Spotify, which was the last thing that I did on this unit. But if I just hit back, you can have a look at the dashboard that actually comes with it, the launcher software. Now you may notice some similarities between this and one of the Joying units that I reviewed, and that is because it's identical in every way, apart from the fact that the speedometer is in miles per hour instead of kilometers per hour. You've got the date and time over here. You've got an MP3 player up in the top corner, which also plays FLAC as well. And then you've got the settings, and then you've got navigation. Now the navigation button can be programmed to use whatever app that you want to use. I like to use Waze, so I have set it to Waze. Now you may notice over here that there's a snowflake icon. If I tap it, it brings up the climate control system. Now unfortunately in the Saab, it doesn't actually control the climate controls, but it does show them. So if I was to change the climate controls or the heated seats, they will reflect on here, but you don't actually need to go into this just for it to be seen. If you change the climate controls, you can see that it brings up this little pop-up and it shows you whether the heated seats are on or what fan speed is or what temperature it is, just by doing that. Now obviously you get to control your volume control from this as well. If you open any of the doors, it actually show you on the screen where it is from. And then if I stick it into reverse, you can see I have this lovely high definition camera from Toto actually, and it's showing you the specific distances between each individual reverse sensor, front and rear. So it's really going to give us the best possible experience. Now you access all of this by going to settings, into the factory. The password is 3368. We scroll down to car model, touch this, and you can see that the 9.5 here goes to XP, GM, Chevrolet, Opel, car model all, CANbox, XPH. That's what this car requires to have all the functionality that I just showed you. But as you can see, there's loads of other brands. So you can actually use this with many different types of car just by selecting the one that's relevant to you. Also in this menu, you can see boot screen logo. And as you can see, mine is set to Saab because I'm in a Saab, but again, you have lots and lots and lots of options of different cars. So you have the boot logo right there as well. So along the bottom here, we have Bluetooth, where you can make hands-free calls, or you can listen to wireless Bluetooth music from your phone. The radio is here, and over here is where you're going to find all your apps. If we go into settings, you can see that the menus are very well designed. They're very similar to the joins actually that I previously reviewed, but it makes it very, very easy. So we're not dealing with standard Android menus here. We're dealing with menus which make things nice and easy to deal with. So from a look and feel perspective, this is a 13.3-inch QLED display, 1080p. It's very, very high resolution, excellent contrast ratio, great clarity, and the DPI settings are perfect so that there's nothing too small to touch. Everything is just perfect. Oh, and the other thing is there's some hidden buttons on the side here, and they actually control the volume. So it's got physical volume buttons on the side, and it's got a capacitive touch home button here. The dashboard's really nice to look at, and the menus are easy to function. So from a look and feel perspective, this is proper quality. It's really, really nice. So let's talk about speed. Well, along with having an amazing octa-core processor, this thing also has 8 GB of memory. Now the most I've ever tested before is 6 GB with a TI's unit. So this actually has the most amount of memory that I have ever tested. So what does that mean? Well, it's really, really fast. So if I do my normal test with the likes of Spotify, you see how long it takes to load? There, pretty much instantaneous, and you can see how well it fills the 1080p display. It just looks really, really good. And if we try Waze as well, yeah, I mean it's basically instantaneous. This is tablet stuff, like it's really, really fast. So from a speed perspective, this Idoing head unit is the fastest that I have ever tested. Now from a features perspective, this head unit has things like the AHD reverse camera compatibility, so you get some HD video when you're reversing, but it also comes with Android Auto and Apple Carplay. So I've got my trusty iPhone to try out the Apple Carplay, so it should be as simple as going to Bluetooth here, and devices, search for devices. Yeah, there's Stuart's iPhone, so I touch that, touch the link button. So now if we're going into the apps, go to CarLink, it's just waiting for the device to connect. And there we go. So we have Apple CarPlay on our Idoing head unit. So if I really wanted to use Apple CarPlay, I have access to my maps from Waze or Google Maps or whatever I want from here. Here are all the apps that I have on my iPhone. Of course, I have my Spotify playlists as well. So you've got full Apple CarPlay functionality on here. It also has Android Auto as well, but it has to be done with a USB port. But that's not really the end of the world, because this car actually has a USB port in the armrest. So you just plug it in there and away you go. From a connectivity point of view, you have the things that you normally require. So you've got all of the RCAs which go to each of the speakers, the pre-outs. You also have a pre-out for a subwoofer separately, so you can control it separately. And it also has a digital SPDIF optical output as well, which is going to give you lossless digital connectivity to a digital amp or a DSP if you want to use one of those. That only comes with the very highest end unit, so that's pretty good. Well, let's talk about the main event, and that is sound. So we'll go to settings, we'll go to sound, we go down to equalizer, and you can see it has a 16-band graphic equalizer, which is excellent. Up here you have all your presets, or of course you can move these individually and get the sound that you want yourself. Up here in setup, you can turn loudness on and off, and you can also independently control the front and rear speakers with the graphic equalizer. This next button here is your balance and fade. And then here you have the ability to control the amount of delay for each of the individual speakers so that you can get that sound that you're looking for. And then the next one is the bass filter. So you have the individual control over the frequencies for both the front and the rear speakers separately, and the same with the bass enhancement. You can enhance the bass on the rear, or you can enhance the bass on the front, and there are frequency cutoffs for both the front and the rear as well. So it's giving you total control over both the front and the rear. So if you've got different speakers in your car, this is really going to allow you to control those individually. Back on the menu here, if we go into subwoofer, it gives you the control over the volume of the subwoofer that you have, and then it gives you the control over the cutoff frequencies as well. So again, you get quite a lot of control over the sub side of things as well. Now this thing has DSP, so from a sound perspective it sounds amazing and you have total control over how it's going to sound in the car. I really like it in this car as well. It does sound excellent. So let's give it some scores. The look and feel, the device physically is beautiful. It is very well made. You have a capacitive touch home button and you also have some physical volume buttons as well. The screen is 1080p and it's QLED and it's sharp and beautiful to look at. And then from a software perspective, you've got a decent dashboard which is quite pretty to look at, and the menus are very easy to navigate and you can find everything you want very intuitively. So from a look and feel perspective, I'm going to give Idoing a 9, and to get a 10 they need to improve the launcher so that it's a little bit more customizable. From a speed perspective, you've got an amazing octa-core processor and 8 gigabytes of memory. All of the tests that I ran on this unit ran extremely quickly. This in actual fact is the fastest Android head unit that I've ever dealt with. It is certainly the most powerful. So I'm going to give it a 10. From a connectivity perspective, you've got pre-outs for each speaker and a separate one for your subwoofer, and you have that lovely SPDIF optical digital Toslink output, something you only get with the higher end head units. Unfortunately, there's no digital video connectivity, so you can't plug in a HDMI, and that would have been lovely for a screen of this size in your car. From a features perspective, you've got your AHD camera and you have wireless Apple CarPlay and wired Android Auto, so that's pretty cool. So I'm going to score it an 8 for features. From a car integration perspective, this was literally plug and play, and that's because Idoing gave me a specific harness for this vehicle with the CAN bus decoder and everything. It was literally plug and play. Everything works in this car. I've got total control over the steering controls. I can see the climate controls, I can see the doors, I can see my parking sensors. Everything comes up on the screen of this head unit. So from a car integration perspective, I'm going to give Idoing a 10. From a sound perspective, it sounds amazing in this car. You've got your 16-band graphic equalizer, you have the ability to control frequency cutoff, and you have delays and other options as well to make it sound just right for your particular environment. So from a sound perspective, Idoing have really done a good job with this, and I'm going to score it a 9. Now from a value for money perspective, I'm going to base this on the fact that this costs £425, which makes this one of the most expensive Android head units that I've tested. But if you consider what you're getting, it's the biggest screen that I've ever seen. It's also the fastest head unit that I've ever seen. And if you was to buy a branded head unit with these specifications, it would be ridiculous in price. So from a value for money perspective, I'm going to score this unit an 8. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if there's anything that I've missed that you'd like me to touch on, please leave a comment in the video and I will reply to it as soon as I can. If you like this kind of content, please do like the video and subscribe to my channel, because there's always more content coming.